Go ahead.
Okay. What got you into composing?
Well, my original experience with composing was way outside the game industry. I got involved writing jingles for radio ads. So I would basically, and this is not like big glamorous jingles, like wow, national company. I'm not writing a jingle for Chili's. I was writing basically jingles for local companies, and it was a kind of a bad gig because I had to try to sell them on the idea that I wanted to make a jingle for their restaurant. And I would basically write the tune, produce the whole tune, record it, and then I'd go to the restaurant and say, look, I wrote this jingle for your restaurant. What do you think? And they'd listen to it and they'd be like, wow, that's really cool, that's really great, I said, yeah. And so, you want to buy it? And he's like, why would I buy it? It's already done. And this is what you do for fun, right? So it's like the idea of attaching a dollar figure to writing a jingle when it's already done is definitely kind of a difficult sell. So for a while I wrote jingles, and I managed to make an okay halfway living at that. But when I got involved in the game industry, that was huge for me.
And did you get attention through your jingles from the gaming industry, or was it a sort of bidding thing where you had to audition?
Oh, for the jingles? Or for the game industry?
Mm-hmm. How did you segue?
Oh, the segue couldn't be less related. I mean, my original entree into the video game industry was a company called Sierra Online. They were huge a few years back for games like King's Quest and Space Quest and other adventure games, right? And I was a big adventure gamer, so I thought, wow, I want to try to get involved with one of these companies. And so I sent off emails to a few companies, and Sierra responded back, which was amazing to me because, how in the world did I get an email response from Sierra? But they said, our Oakhurst office is looking for a composer, so I'll forward your email on. I was like, how in the world did I get someone to forward my email at Sierra? So they contacted me, and they asked me to send a demo, and it went on for a few months before it actually resulted in a job offer. But eventually, they flew me out there and they offered me a job. So that was my first game industry gig, and that was a pretty awesome break.
And what game was that for?
It was for a game that was canceled.
Oh.
It was called Cloak, the Naked Mind. It was basically a sci-fi espionage thriller, and it was awesome. The guy who's the designer is a guy named Mark Engelberg, and I kind of have him to thank for my entree into the industry because he designed the virtual reality simulation for the repair of the Hubble Space Telescope for Johnson Space Center. So this guy's like 24 years old when he did this. He's like a super genius. And he was designing this game called Cloak. And that's what I was hired to work on. And I worked on Cloak, I had a great time, and then they canceled Cloak. They canceled all their adventure games because at one point Sierra decided that making adventure games wasn't really their future. They needed to try to change with the times and start making, other popular genres like real-time strategy or other things, and it was kind of part of their downfall as a developer. So it kind of marked the end of an era for adventure games right when I joined. So I was only with them for about a year before I went to Blizzard, which, if Sierra Online was like a lottery ticket gig to get involved in the industry, then getting hired at Blizzard was the super lotto, because obviously that was a great move for me, tremendous.
So how did Blizzard hear of your work? I'm assuming, the game you worked on got canceled, so how does that work out?
Yeah, so I was basically, fortunately they kept me on at Sierra. I was working on some other things, but I started thinking that the writing might be on the wall here. They were kind of struggling as a studio, and so I went to a convention called the Computer Game Developers Conference. Today it's called GDC, it's the Game Developers Conference, but it used to be called CGDC. And I went there and I brought a mini CD Walkman, a little tiny disc. I had my music on it. And I started walking up to anybody that would listen, say, can I put my headphones on you and can you listen to this music? And, a few people were nice. I went up to the Blizzard booth. They had a job fair. And I went to Blizzard and I met a guy, a really nice guy named Matt Householder. We became friends later on. And I approached him and I said, hey, I got some music I'd love to play for you. Would you be willing to listen to it? He goes, well, I'm kind of busy at the job fair right now. I'm like, what am I here for? I'm trying to get a job, So he goes, if you come back around 5 o'clock when we shut down, I'd be willing to give it a listen. I said, okay, well, I'll be back. And, at 5 o'clock p.m., I come walking back up. He's like, oh, this kid's back again. I can't believe it. It's probably just being nice. But I played him the music, and eventually I got in touch with Glenn Stafford, who was the only guy at Blizzard doing music and sound. And so I ended up getting hired on as like the number 2 sound. Now the Blizzard sound department is like 40. It's more than 40 people. But at that time it was just Glenn, and then I was the second one on. And so it was that way for a while. And then now, of course, Blizzard is a very, very big developer, and and it's become a huge, exciting project.
So, what did you work on right away at Blizzard? Was it World of Warcraft just immediately, or how'd that start?
No, World of Warcraft was nothing but a glimmer in someone's eye. I don't know how do you say that. World of Warcraft was not even conceived of as an idea. What it was at the time, it was the last 9 months in the development of the original StarCraft. And so I kind of walked into a development situation where it was on fire. I mean, the game was in development, but it was still 9 months to go. And so the first thing I wrote for Blizzard was, I mean, if you don't know StarCraft, this won't be very meaningful. It's very special to me because it was like the first thing I did. But it was for, they have 3 factions in StarCraft: the Protoss, the Terran, and the Zerg. And I got to write the music for the Protoss briefing room. It's the place where you get your mission in StarCraft when you're a Protoss player. And for me, that was so exciting because, I got to kind of write this theme for this area where you receive these epic missions to go out and, play StarCraft. And so that piece of music still has kind of a special place to me because it's the first thing I did there. And now, we're getting ready to work on, developing the StarCraft franchise, and so I'm finding myself in a position to be able to write Protoss music again, years later, and really develop some of those things I thought of back then. So it's pretty awesome.
So how did you kind of get the inspiration to compose that first piece?
I'll tell you what, you know what it was? Like a lot of things, when I start writing music, I don't just sit down, especially nowadays. I mean, over the years, it's become more and more technology of access to. I have a studio that I work in with all these sounds, and it's an awesome thing, but at the same time, it's a little, for me personally, it's a little intimidating because there's so many options, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I tend to just kind of get away from the studio, and even away from the piano, which is my main instrument, and I will sing ideas into a portable recorder. At the time, it was like a micro cassette player. Now it's the iPhone. And I'll sing ideas into the recorder. And once I come up with an idea for what the piece is going to be, like maybe it's like a melody or something, or some rhythmic thing. Once I have the idea, then I'll bring it back to the workstation. I'll start developing the idea. And so I've kind of worked that way ever since. If I start working with a lot of sounds and start just throwing sounds down, you can make something that sounds like music, but I find that I'm just massaging sounds into place, and it's not nearly as intuitive of a musical piece unless I just kind of get away from everything and I just sing ideas. And that's usually where I think the best ideas for me, come from. Everyone works differently.
So it's just like notes that kind of just gel together while dabbling, or?
I'll literally sing the ideas. I mean, I'll literally just think, what would be a good, what would be a good melody for this, for this character? Recently for me, for World of Warcraft, it was during this patch cycle for Mists of Pandaria, and so we have a character, named Jaina Proudmoore, and she's a very important character to Warcraft. And I wanted to write a theme for Jaina, so it was really nice to just kind of go for a walk and think about the character. And I mean, Jaina's become kind of tough as nails these days, but in the past, she used to have a softer side, and so I wanted to kind of reflect that a little bit. Like, she's still got a lot of concern for her people. This is the character that fell in love with Arthas at some point, and so to write a theme that was more lyrical, it really helps me to just kind of think about the subject of the character and try to sing ideas. And it's better for me than just trying to play on the piano or trying to, play instruments in, because it's much better for me to think about the melodic line separated from that specific situation.
Right.
It's just, there's too many temptations to do something that takes me away from what might be more of a simple idea. So I like to come up with ideas that way.
All right. So the World of Warcraft game, just how does, like, you're composing the music for that? I mean, did you expect it to be as huge as it is now, or?
No. The thing with World of Warcraft is that Blizzard had a track record, and we had a track record for making these super successful games. Obviously, there's a great, Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness was huge, StarCraft huge, Diablo 1 was huge, but at the same time, World of Warcraft was basically a really exciting idea, and everyone at the company are very big gamers, and so there's a lot of excitement about it. But when World of Warcraft was finished and released, no one anticipated, no one could have imagined how big that would become. It really has exceeded everyone's kind of wildest expectations, and it's really a wonderful thing to kind of find out and see how it's become this gigantic juggernaut of a game. So, yeah, no one predicted that.
What do you think that was? I mean, you can say your music if you want.
The music. Then you go on record and say, the music made the game great. You know, we have a bunch of values that are around an orc statue in the middle of campus with this big orc statue, and we have all of our kind of company values. And it says things like, commit to quality, which sounds kind of corporate, but it's true. You got to commit to quality and like lead responsibly. And these are good values. It also has things like embrace your inner geek, you know? So one of the things on there is a plaque that says gameplay first, and that's absolutely true. You know, at Blizzard, and really any game company, if the game is fun to play, then it can be successful. If it's not fun to play, it doesn't matter what music is in the game, it won't be successful. But the beauty of that is, once the game is fun to play, for me personally, the music can really help to amplify the experience and make it, you know, more emotional. And to take a really fun game and amplify it with the aesthetics of having a musical score and really trying to, you know, tell Jaina's story or deal with, you know, Garrosh, who's just this really bad orc, and really kind of amplify that, or to develop the music for when you walk into Stormwind for the first time and get a really epic feeling about the pride and the honor of you know, the Alliance, then that is a pretty awesome honor to be able to do that. And you know, I think it lifts up the experience, but I don't have any illusions about it actually making the game successful. But it can help maybe it can help it be more successful.
I know we're about to start.